Hey everybody, Random App Radis here, and today I wanted to make a video on a cybersecurity topic. What exactly is an API? It stands for Application Programming Interface, and the definition is a computing interface that defines interactions between multiple software intermediaries. This is the best you can get in many circumstances as far as an explanation goes. So I'm going to go a little bit further into it in the Death by PowerPoint, and then we're going to look at some actual examples on my computer with some applications that I've written in Python. What is it really? Well, here's what you need. Another entity, any entity at all, has information that you need. You need this information because you're trying to write an application and you're needing to pull information for this application. Okay. You need to find the entity that fits your needs and read how to use it via their documentation. So let's look at some examples real quick. So the first thing I'm going to show you is what I call Weather App. I believe that's what it's called. It's just called weather.py. It's a simple, really simple weather application that pulls data from an API. Okay, so we're going to Python 3 weather.py. Alright, so here, let's just say New York. And it pulls the data. It's currently 34 degrees with a clear sky, high 37 degrees. Feels like 19 degrees, humidity 51. The documentation, just to help you understand a little bit more about what an API is. This tells you how to make the API call. So this is a URL, and you pass certain information in, and on their side of things, there's a query done, and that information is sent back to you. So there's a lot of stuff that you don't have to worry about, right? This tells you exactly how to do things by city ID. This tells you everything. This isn't 100% clear, but basically in a program you're able to get input from the user, like a zip code, and you can store these in a variable, and you can put a variable here in the URL, and that URL is you going to a website. Going to a website is simply trying to get resources from a web server or other kind of server. That information is sent back to you in its raw form. Now, your browser, take HTML for instance, CSS, you have a lot of things working behind there, jQuery, JavaScript. Your browser takes all of that information and puts it in a format that looks good to you. Whenever you're making an API call, there is no browser doing that for you, and it's up to you as a programmer to put that information into a format that is readable and likable. Okay. Another program I'll show you because it's a lot easier to understand, especially with the documentation. Python 3 jokes.py. Let's go. So it's asking you to choose a category. Let's go pun. How many jokes do you want to see? I want to see 2. Alright, I have a fish that can break dance, only for 20 seconds though, and only once. So let's, did I put an exit in here? Let's just Control C. Basically, let's look at the code for this in the documentation. This is my jokes.py. So this is a base URL. This is what the URL is, plain. Category is blank. These are parts of the URL, and I'm going to gather information from the user, and I'm going to put this together and put a URL together, and then I'm going to navigate to that from my program. Let me show you the documentation of how this works. So this is how a nice documentation will work. You're going to ask for a set of jokes. This gives you the URL, and you can see as you choose things and unchoose things. Let's say programming, let's say custom, right? So we're going to say programming, we're going to have programming, so you kind of know where things go. If it's the category, it's going to go at the end, so on and so forth. So this is all an API really is at a fundamental level, at least this kind of easy stuff like that. You are wanting to get specific information, you choose the API, you learn how to use it from the documentation, and then you use your program to make a URL and request data from that URL and process data from that URL. There's tons of things out there. I did not know what JSON was before I wrote this application, and so I had to say, how do I process JSON data with Python? What is JSON? It didn't make any sense to me. So you basically have to loop through, and for each one of these it's dictionaries, and you just separate everything, and none of that's important. So I hope that demystifies APIs for you a little bit, because I never really got an explanation. I would recommend learning Python up to the point at least of using an API, and you'd be surprised. I mean, there are tons of free APIs, almost anything you can imagine. Thanks so much for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notifications icon, and I'm going to be posting a video soon about my latest in my cybersecurity role.